2014, a Glencore office in Lagos, Nigeria. A trader opens his laptop and types an email to headquarters in Switzerland. The subject line reads, "Newspaper budget request." The message reads, "We need $90,000 for reading materials this quarter." Within 48 hours, $90,000 moves from Switzerland through a bank in New York to a shell company in Cyprus. Then it disappears into the hands of Nigerian government officials. This is not about newspapers. This is a bribe, one of hundreds that Glencore paid across 7 countries over 2 decades. Bribes disguised as journals, pages, and office expenses. Bribes that generated hundreds of millions in illegal profits. And for years, they got away with it. Until October 8, 2024, when a billionaire named Alex Beard walked into a London courtroom to face the consequences. This is the story of how Glencore, one of the world's largest commodity traders, became one of the most corrupt corporations in history. 1983, Zug, Switzerland. Mark Rich sits in his office overlooking Lake Zurich, reading a fax from his lawyer in New York. The news is bad. The FBI wants him for trading oil with Iran during the hostage crisis and for evading over $50 million in taxes. If he goes back to the United States, he is facing decades in prison. So he makes a decision that will define the rest of his life. He is not going back. Switzerland does not extradite for tax crimes. He is safe here. His company, Mark Rich and Company, can keep operating. Rich has built something unusual in the commodities world, not just a trading company, but an intelligence network. His traders operate in war zones, in sanctioned countries, and in places where Western corporations refuse to go. They buy oil from anyone who will sell it. They ask no questions. They pay in cash. It is not legal, it is not ethical, but it is incredibly profitable. For 11 years, Rich runs his empire from exile while the US government tries and fails to bring him home. His traders move hundreds of millions of barrels of oil. They make deals in Nigeria, Venezuela, and the Soviet Union. The company prints money, but by 1994, Rich is getting older. The legal pressure is exhausting. He decides to step back. He sells his stake to his management team, traders he trained himself, men like Ivan Glasenberg, who learned everything from Rich. The company gets a new name, Glencore International. Rich walks away with hundreds of millions, but the culture he created, the willingness to operate in the shadows, to pay whoever needs to be paid, that stays. 2000. Glencore's headquarters are in Bar, Switzerland. Ivan Glasenberg, the new CEO, has a plan. Glencore isn't public. It doesn't have to report earnings or answer to shareholders. It's a private partnership owned by its traders, and that privacy gives them an advantage. They can operate in the shadows. Over the next decade, Glencore expands aggressively. They buy mines in the Democratic Republic of Congo, coal operations in South Africa, and copper in Zambia. Cobalt, zinc, aluminum. Glencore's portfolio grows to include nearly every major commodity on Earth. By 2010, they control 60% of the global zinc trade and over 50% of the copper trade. They are the largest commodity trader in the world. In May 2011, Glasenberg takes the company public. The IPO raises $10 billion on the London and Hong Kong stock exchanges. On opening day, Glencore is valued at $59 billion. Glasenberg's personal stake is $9 billion. Other executives become billionaires overnight. Alex Beard, head of oil operations, is suddenly worth $2 billion. Gary Fagel, who ran the aluminum division, retires in 2013 with $1.6 billion. Glencore's success looks legitimate. They are listed on major exchanges. They publish annual reports. They hire compliance officers. But behind the corporate facade, something else is happening. The traders are paying bribes, hundreds of them. 2014, Lagos, Nigeria. Anthony Stimler sits at his desk in Glencore's West Africa office. He is a senior oil trader in his mid-40s, responsible for securing crude oil contracts from the Nigerian government. It is a competitive market. Other companies want the same contracts, but Stimler has an advantage. He is willing to pay for access. He opens his laptop and drafts an email to a Glencore intermediary in Switzerland. He keeps it vague, careful, nothing too obvious. Subject line, newspaper budget request. Message, we need $90,000 for reading materials this quarter. The intermediary in Switzerland reads it and understands immediately. They have done this before, many times. The word newspapers means bribes. The phrase reading materials refers to government officials. $90,000 means exactly $90,000, no questions asked. Within 48 hours, the money moves from a Glencore account in Switzerland through a bank in New York to a shell company in Cyprus. From there, it is distributed to officials in Nigeria's state oil company. 1 month later, Glencore wins a lucrative oil contract. Stimler repeats this process dozens of times over the next few years. Sometimes the code word is journals, sometimes it is pages. The method is always the same. Request money using coded language, wire it through multiple jurisdictions, deliver it to officials who control the contracts. In 2015 alone, Glencore pays bribes totaling $50,000 per cargo just to secure oil shipments from Nigeria. The illegal profits? $124 million. But Stimler is not the only one doing this. Traders across Glencore's operations are running the same playbook, and none of them think they will ever get caught. 2015, Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Brazilian prosecutors are investigating Petrobras, the state-controlled oil company, for massive corruption. They call it Operation Car Wash, one of the largest anti-corruption probes in history. As investigators dig through financial records, they find something interesting. Payments from Glencore to 3 Petrobras officials. The amounts are not huge, $147,000 split between them, but the structure is suspicious. The money is disguised as a service fee, 50 cents per barrel of Brazilian oil purchased by Glencore. Prosecutors realize it is not a service fee, it is a bribe. The officials were paid to give Glencore preferential pricing on oil contracts. The scheme ran for years, generating millions in extra profits for Glencore, while Brazilian taxpayers lost money on underpriced oil sales. The evidence is clear, but here is the problem. Glencore is not a Brazilian company. They are based in Switzerland, with operations in dozens of countries. Brazilian prosecutors cannot touch them. They forward their findings to Interpol. And wait, 2016, Kinshasa, Democratic Republic of Congo. A lawsuit lands on the desk of a Congolese judge. The plaintiff is suing Glencore for breach of contract. They claim Glencore violated the terms of a mining agreement. The damages are $16 million. Glencore's lawyers review the case. The evidence is strong. The contract is clear. They are going to lose, so they take a different approach. A Glencore intermediary arranges a private meeting with the judge. He brings a briefcase. Inside, $500,000 in cash. The judge looks at the money. He knows what this is. He knows what it means. But $500,000 is more money than he will see in a lifetime. More than he could ever make honestly. He takes it. 2 weeks later, the lawsuit is dismissed. No explanation, no ruling, no appeal. The $16 million debt simply vanishes. For Glencore, it is simple math. Pay $500,000 to avoid $16 million. A 97% discount on a legal problem. But someone in the Congolese legal system notices the irregularity. A lawsuit that strong does not just disappear. They file a complaint with the Swiss Attorney General's office. It is 2016. Glencore does not know it yet, but this complaint will eventually cost them $150 million. The walls are starting to close in, but here is what Glencore's executives never talked about in their boardrooms. While they were getting rich, someone else was paying the price. In Nigeria, oil revenues that should have funded schools and hospitals were being siphoned off into Swiss bank accounts. Billions of dollars that belonged to Nigerian citizens, money that could have built infrastructure, paid teachers, funded healthcare, disappeared into the pockets of corrupt officials and Glencore intermediaries. In the Democratic Republic of Congo, mining contracts that could have created jobs and lifted entire communities out of poverty went to whoever paid the biggest bribe, not the most qualified company, not the one with the best safety record or environmental practices, but the one who paid. And across West Africa, honest government officials, people who actually wanted to serve their countries, watched as their corrupt colleagues drove luxury cars and sent their children to private schools in Europe. These honest officials struggled to pay rent. They could not afford to send their own kids to decent schools. And every day they faced a choice: take the money and compromise everything they believe in, or stay honest and stay poor. Most stayed honest, but they paid the price. Because Glencore's bribes did not just break laws, they broke entire systems. When corruption becomes normal, when every contract requires a payoff, when every government official expects a bribe, it does not just hurt governments, it destroys trust. It makes legitimate business impossible. It keeps entire countries trapped in poverty while foreign companies extract billions in resources. The people of Nigeria, Congo, and Venezuela were the ones who suffered. While Glencore made hundreds of millions in illegal profits, entire nations lost billions in stolen wealth. But for years, no one was investigating, no one was watching, no one held Glencore accountable until 2018. July 2nd, 2018, Glencore's headquarters in Bar, Switzerland. A letter arrives from the US Department of Justice. It's a subpoena. The DOJ is investigating Glencore's compliance with the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, a US law that prohibits American companies and their partners from bribing foreign officials. The investigation focuses on 3 countries: Nigeria, Venezuela, and the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Glencore's executives read the letter and realize they're in serious trouble. The DOJ doesn't send subpoenas unless they already have evidence, and they have a lot of it. Over the next 2 years, DOJ investigators interview dozens of current and former Glencore employees. They subpoena financial records from banks in Switzerland, Cyprus, and the British Virgin Islands. They find wire transfers totaling tens of millions of dollars, all routed through shell companies, all ending up in the hands of government officials. But the DOJ's biggest break comes from an unexpected source. Anthony Stimler decides to cooperate. 2020, New York City. Anthony Stimler sits across from Department of Justice prosecutors, staring at the folder in front of him. Inside that folder is everything. Years of his life. Every bribe he authorized. Every shell company he used. Every Nigerian official he paid off. He is facing 10 years in federal prison. His career is destroyed. His reputation is ruined. His colleagues, the people he worked alongside for years, will never speak to him again. But there is a way out. The prosecutors slide a document across the table, a cooperation agreement. If he testifies against Glencore, if he gives them everything, his sentence will be reduced. Stimler looks at the paper. He knows what this means. He will be labeled a snitch, a traitor, the kind of person who turns on his own to save himself. But the alternative is 10 years in a cell. He picks up the pen. Over the next several days, Stimler becomes the Department of Justice's most valuable asset. He walks them through the entire operation. The coded emails called newspapers meant bribes, journals meant payoffs, the wire transfers routed through Switzerland, New York, Cyprus. The shell companies designed to hide the money trail. He names names. Executive 1, a United Kingdom citizen who ran global oil trading until 2019, overseeing millions in illegal payments. Executive 2, an oil trader who personally approved $325,000 in bribes to Nigerian officials before quietly leaving the company in 2018. Stimler provides proof, emails with timestamps, financial records showing exact amounts, meeting notes where bribes were discussed openly. As the prosecutors piece it together, they realize something stunning. This is not just about Nigeria. Glencore had been bribing officials everywhere they operated. Nigeria, Venezuela, Brazil, the Democratic Republic of Congo, across Africa, South America, the Middle East. It was not a few rogue employees making bad decisions. It was the business model. Pay bribes, win contracts, make hundreds of millions in profit, repeat. And it had been going on for decades. The Department of Justice now has everything they need, but Glencore does not know it yet. 2017. Caracas, Venezuela. Glencore has a problem. Petróleos de Venezuela, the state oil company, owes them $12 million in late payments. The contract is clear. Venezuela is in breach, but Glencore does not sue. Instead, they pay $1.3 million in bribes to Venezuelan officials to speed up the payment process. The money moves through a complex web of intermediaries. Glencore Switzerland wires funds to a shell company in Panama. From there, it is distributed to officials in Venezuela's oil ministry. Within weeks, the $12 million payment is processed. For Glencore, it is another successful transaction, but for the Department of Justice, it is another piece of evidence. By 2020, investigators have built an airtight case. Dozens of bribes across 5 continents, over $100 million in illegal payments, hundreds of millions in illegal profits. The evidence is overwhelming. May 24, 2022. United States Department of Justice Headquarters, Washington, D.C. Glencore's lawyers arrive for a final meeting with prosecutors. They had known this day was coming. For 4 years, since the 2018 subpoena, the DOJ had been building its case. Stimler's testimony, the emails, the wire transfers, the shell companies, it was all there. Every bribe, every illegal payment, every corrupt deal. There was no way out. The DOJ presents its terms. Glencore will plead guilty to violating the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act and to manipulating commodity prices. The fine is $1.1 billion. Glencore's lawyers look at each other. It's a staggering amount, but they know it could be worse. They agree. That afternoon, Glencore releases a carefully worded statement saying it takes responsibility for its past actions and has implemented comprehensive compliance reforms. The words ring hollow, but the company's investors barely react because Glencore's market cap is $85 billion. A $1.1 billion fine is painful but manageable. The company had already set aside $1.5 billion for settlements. This was always just the cost of doing business. But the nightmare is not over. The same day Glencore settles with the DOJ, a notification arrives from London. The UK Serious Fraud Office has filed charges. May 24, 2022. London. The same day Glencore settles with the DOJ, the UK Serious Fraud Office files charges against Glencore Energy UK Limited, 7 counts of bribery. The SFO alleges that Glencore paid over $25 million in bribes to gain preferential access to oil in African countries, with the full knowledge and approval of senior executives. This time, Glencore cannot just pay a fine and move on, because the SFO has bigger plans. They are not just prosecuting the company, they are building cases against the individuals who orchestrated it all. November 3rd, 2022. Southwark Crown Court, London. Glencore Energy UK Limited appears before the judge. The SFO had spent months building its case. They presented evidence of bribes paid in Nigeria, Cameroon, Ivory Coast, Equatorial Guinea, and South Sudan. The coded emails, the shell companies, the wire transfers. It was the same pattern that worked in dozens of countries, and now it was all public. Glencore's lawyers knew they could not fight this. They pleaded guilty to all 7 counts. The judge was blunt in his assessment. He said this was highly corrosive and endemic corruption. He said the company used its wealth and influence to systematically undermine the rule of law in developing nations. The sentence was £280 million, approximately $355 million. Glencore paid it. But the case against the individual executives was still pending, and there was one more investigation to close. August 5, 2024, Bern, Switzerland. The Swiss Attorney General issued a penalty order against Glencore International AG. The investigation focused on the 2011 bribery of a Congolese official, the judge who made the $16 million lawsuit disappear. Glencore was fined 2 million Swiss francs for failing to prevent the bribe. They were also ordered to pay $150 million in compensation to the Democratic Republic of Congo. It was the final piece of a global settlement. Between the US, the UK and Swiss investigations, Glencore has now paid over $1.6 billion in fines and penalties. But the individual executives still have not faced trial. But Glencore's nightmare was not over. Because while the company paid its fines and tried to move on, the Serious Fraud Office was still building cases. Not against the company this time, against the people who ran it. 3 years, that's how long it took the SFO to build airtight cases against the individuals. In 2023, the charges finally came. Alex Beard, the billionaire who ran Glencore's oil division for 12 years, the man who built an empire on bribes. Andrew Gibson, Paul Hopkirk, Ramon Labiaga, Martin Wakefield, 5 former Glencore executives, all charged with conspiracy to bribe foreign officials across West Africa. The allegations are specific: Nigeria, Cameroon, Ivory Coast, Equatorial Guinea, South Sudan. Years of bribes, millions of dollars, all authorized at the highest levels. The SFO lays it out clearly. These men did not just know about the bribes, they approved them, they encouraged them. They built their careers on corruption. If convicted, they could face years in prison. But they are wealthy. They have the best lawyers money can buy, and they are prepared to fight. The charges are formally announced in August 2024. The trial date, 2027. 3 more years of waiting. 3 more years of legal maneuvering. 3 more years of living in limbo, billionaires on bail waiting to find out if they will spend the rest of their lives behind bars. October 8, 2024, Southwark Crown Court, London. Alex Beard walks through the courthouse doors. He is 56 years old, impeccably dressed in a tailored suit, worth over $2 billion. For 12 years, he ran Glencore's oil division, one of the most powerful commodity operations on Earth. He made deals worth hundreds of millions. He built relationships with oil ministers and government officials across 3 continents, and according to prosecutors, he bribed his way to the top. Today, he is here with 5 other former executives, all on bail, all waiting. The courtroom is packed. Journalists fill the gallery with notebooks ready. Cameras wait outside. The judge enters. Everyone stands. Then comes the announcement they have been waiting for. The trial date, June 2027. 3 more years. 3 more years of legal limbo. 3 more years of bail conditions and lawyer meetings. 3 more years of waking up not knowing if they will spend the rest of their lives in prison. Beard shows no emotion. He has been trained his entire career not to. But as he leaves the courthouse and walks past the cameras, one question hangs in the air. Will the men who built a bribery empire finally face justice? Or will they do what Glencore always does, pay their way out? Nick Fgrave, director of the Serious Fraud Office, makes a statement to the press outside. We will continue to pursue these individuals until justice is served. Glencore's executives disrupted fair markets and exploited developing nations for personal profit. They will be held accountable. Strong words, but everyone knows how these cases usually end. The executives leave on unconditional bail. They are free to travel. free to live their lives in mansions and penthouses, free to enjoy the billions they made from bribes. For now. Today, Glencore is still operational. They are still one of the largest commodity traders on Earth, still mining copper in Zambia, still shipping oil from West Africa, still moving grain from South America. The new CEO, Gary Nagle, insists the company has reformed, new compliance programs, new ethical guidelines, new oversight. They have paid over $1.6 billion in fines across 3 continents. They have admitted guilt in the United States, the United Kingdom, and Switzerland. But the people at the top, the ones who built the system, who created the culture of corruption, most of them walked away wealthy. Mark Rich, the fugitive founder, died in 2013. A free man pardoned by President Clinton. He never faced consequences for anything. Ivan Glasenberg, the CEO who took Glencore public and oversaw years of bribes, retired in 2021 with a $9 billion fortune. He was never charged with a crime. Alex Beard and the other executives are waiting for their 2027 trial. But if history is any guide, they will likely plead guilty, pay fines, and avoid prison entirely. Because that's what Glencore does. They pay their way out of problems. The question is whether that will work one more time. Lisa Osofsky, the former director of the UK Serious Fraud Office, said something important when Glencore was convicted. This was the first time since the Bribery Act 2010 that a corporation was convicted for actively authorizing bribery, not just failing to prevent it. Glencore did not accidentally allow corruption to happen. They built their empire on it. They paid hundreds of millions in bribes across 7 countries over 2 decades. They corrupted judges, government ministers, and state oil officials. They generated billions in illegal profits. And for years, no one stopped them because Glencore was too big, too powerful, too connected. But eventually the investigations caught up. The 2027 trial will be the final test. Will the individuals who orchestrated one of the largest corporate bribery schemes in history finally go to prison? Or will they walk free like so many wealthy executives before them? The answer will tell us something important about the world we live in. Whether justice applies equally to everyone, or whether if you are rich enough, you can buy your way out of anything.